The purpose of my video is to critique and entertain. Any jokes in this video are simply jokes, and that's it. No insults of any kind. Also in the description below is the link to the target's original video. Do not go after them or attack them in any shape or form, as I will not condone it. Have you ever had that one target, that one person who you just wait to screw up so you can give them the proper criticism they deserve, and yet they still haven't done anything recent enough to become relevant? Well, neither have I. I'm just here waiting for some material.
Hey Jonah, beaming you some material!
Oh, well, that was extremely well timed and not at all an easy way to get this commentary going. Let me give this a look. Though I swear it's sweet, if it's something relating to politics, I will lose my—
2 hours later.
Jonah? Jonah? Oh no, did I break him? Shoot, I'll go call a cyber ambulance.
Okay, that's 20 minutes of my life we'll never get back. Don Devil and his cheap refunds. Anyway, our target for today, Blazing Larvesta. If you've been around the CC for a while, you probably heard of his less than stellar commentaries. Well, I'm going to be going the Phantom and Rude and tackling something different, one of his countdowns. And before I start the video, I'd like to address that I'll only be covering 4 entries on this list, and they're the only ones I feel actually comfortable talking about, as well as his multiple editing disasters. That being said, let the chaos commence!
You thought pineapple on pizza was gross? You've clearly never tried wall chicken and tiny mushroom on pizza before.
And here's where my large list of editing suggestions come into play. Okay, Larvesta, holy crud, what are with the visuals in this skit? The Pokemon room you're using as a background takes up far too much space compared to everything else. This also isn't helped by the fact that the images of Larvesta you use are so incredibly small. You've shown in your commentary that you have the ability to zoom in. Why not do that here, so people like me don't have to squint their eyes to watch it properly, thereby making it a pain to watch? Now, don't get me wrong here, I get where you were going with playing certain items on it, but it fails for 2 reasons. One being that one of the things on said pizza, specifically the meat from Minecraft, isn't a power-up, but instead just something to help restore hunger, thereby making it kind of pointless to put on it. There's also the manner of really odd scaling issues. If the pizza looks big enough to actually squish you, of course, given up to this countdown, it might have been better if it turned out that way. Like, we were trying to be realistic or something here? This just looks gross. I never thought I'd actually see a day where I could say I found one of my old Movie Maker intros more competent than a countdown intro. And Christ alive, you do not know how much nightmare fuel those are. Anyway, let me point out every single reason why this intro needs to go burning in the fiery pits of hell. First off, well, not exactly the most noticeable, the slight syncing issues when you switch between footage, specifically a part in between the game that comes before Undertale, and there's a short gap in time between where the Asgore fight pops up. Adding the Asgore footage itself is also another problem I have with this intro. I can tell you're trying to go for this whole entire WOO! Epic moment montage! Yet adding in the Asgore fight takes away from that, all you really see is you dodging some rather slow moving attacks. And this honestly really takes away from the feel you're trying to create. There's also the Castlevania clip, which honestly isn't that good. It's such a slow start with Simon just waiting to see what the meaning of life is. And there's the issue of footage quality. It's quite obvious that certain parts are in better quality than others, especially with the Mega Man game. There's also the really obvious watermark using your Dragon Quest footage. And last but not least, there's the length, which goes on for far too long, and makes me wonder, when are we actually going to get to the actual countdown? I'm getting flashbacks to the intros I've seen from Meta, but hey, at least Meta could actually sync its footage.
Of all the tropes that gaming has had since the earliest days, power-ups have been some of the most prevalent for quite some time. Whether they be stat boosts to make you stronger, new weapons to mow down mooks with, or fun toys to play around with, power-ups are always a nice thing to have around. Unfortunately, among the plethora of fun and useful power-ups, there have been quite a number of them that completely and utterly malfunction. Whether they be useless, clunky, or obnoxious, these are the power-ups that are better off locked away in their chests. Also, for the record, I'm not including joke items, handicaps, or power downs, just items that are advertised as being beneficial. With that out of the way, stock up your wallet and grab your best equipment because it's time to ignite my flame!
Okay, you're probably wondering why I played that whole thing. Thing is that you're going to have to notice that larvesta didn't really go into detail about what a power-up actually is. And trust me, that's gonna be a non-effective crunch on his butt later in this list. Trust me. My eyes want to crawl into a hole and die! Okay, larvesta, seriously. Not only do you choose a text font that's nearly the same exact color as your background, but you have no outline for your text? You have no idea how unprofessional and lazy it makes you look, do you? Like, text box, adding a shadow, just do anything that isn't this!
Mario Kart can be quite a hectic ride for some people, and part of that comes from the various items that the players can pick up throughout the many tracks. Some of these weapons can be outright broken and salt-inducing, such as the likes of Bullet Bill, Lightning, and the ever-so-infamous Blue Shell.
Okay, if I can cut in real quick, I'd like to refute your claim of one of those items in particular being broken. That being the Blue Shell. For something to be broken, it would have to be really, really good with little to no flaws to balance it out. Like, say, in Super Smash Bros. 4th Bayonetta. Having about only 1 or 2 flaws and comparing it to the advantages the character has in the game as a whole, the pros end up outweighing the cons. Really outweighing the cons. Can you tell him again, Dwarf Man? But I compare it to something like the Blue Shell. The best thing about the Blue Shell is it's a guaranteed hit in the person in first place, and that's really it. Then consider the flaws of said item. For one, you only really get it in the game when you're in a place like 5th or lower. So unless you're lucky enough to hit everybody else in the show's path or good enough to somehow hold onto it and end up in 2nd or 3rd place to use it, your chances of getting the first are as likely as, well, another good Sonic game. That's also putting into consideration that the Blue Shell gives you no acceleration at all. And plus, we're talking about the later games in particular, I see. So we can't really call it broken now when we have multiple items such as a star, which makes you invulnerable, or a super horn, which just outright eliminates the item altogether. Really, the only thing broken here is the argument.
However, we're here to talk about the opposite extreme, and easily the most ineffective one, though, would have to be the banana peel. Why does this exist? Just why does this thing even exist? What purpose could this power-up possibly achieve that no other item in the game can arguably do better? All 3 colors of shells do a better job at knocking down opponents.
A better job at knocking down... What? What kind of shrooms have you been smoking? This wording is all different types of confusion. Get it? Funny Pokemon joke? But better job? How? Like, okay, maybe with the red show and the blue show I could see where you're coming from, but that can't be said about the green shows, considering you have to be absolutely precise with your timing, and when you throw it, otherwise you just miss your target completely. Now before anybody says something, yes, I am aware that some other things can be done with the item, such as bouncing it off of walls or holding it back. And, well, yeah, I can concede to the latter. The point still stands for the former they have to be incredibly precise on where you have to throw your show to hit your opponent.
Fake item blocks are more hazardous obstacles.
I mean, are they? I could argue the opposite, as considering the games you show, the color of said fake item blocks are changed to look red, creating an obvious difference between the two. There's also the issue of placement, as if an item block is placed anywhere other than right next to multiple other ones, it can be easy to see it as a fake.
And pretty much every other item in the game gives the player more of an overall advantage.
Every item? So we're including the coin then? One of the items that does do something that bananas can't? And only really gives you a minor boost and means nothing much in the long run? I know it may seem as if I'm arguing my own opinion here, but one item is clearly better than the other. And even if the banana was as easy to say as you say it is, hey, at least it can slow down your opponents, where the coin doesn't do anything rather than give you a short boost, as well as something you can pick up on each individual stage, thereby making them even more pointless. This just goes to also show you have no idea what a power-up is, that being a consumable that you can use in a certain level, that you don't get to permanently keep, or last for a short period of time. The
banana peel, on the other hand, pretty much serves as a minor inconvenience to anyone that happens to spot it. it is laughably easy to spot and dodge, and even if it does hit someone, it only stops them in their tracks for about 2 seconds at most. If you think this makes for an effective shield, you can swap your mine cartridge out for a better card because the banana peel as a shield is about as effective as—
And here's where all logic goes flying out the window to break its legs. Larvesta, that claim of yours is a massive hyperbole. I looked at the footage you showed. Shy Guy was stunned for about 4 seconds long after being hit. What also doesn't help is the fact that stunning means everything in Mario Kart. As when you're hit, you need to gain back your acceleration, and in that time, another opponent could shoot right past you, or better yet, take that time of you being stunned and needing to get your speed back to hit you for yet another power-up. He could easily bring you back to last as quick as a flash. There's reasons why Mario Kart fail videos are a thing, purely because they were stunned for, and I quote, 2 seconds by a pure show.
an actual banana would be as a real shield.
I didn't mention this to him now because it wasn't really relevant, but larvesta, amigo, pal, you flaming bug thing. I do find it amusing that you labeled the item blocks as better power-ups, when actually, you know one of the things that a banana can do that they can't? Block items. And considering there's not a 3-item block item, god that's redundant. It allows you to prevent yourself from being hit by multiple incoming items, such as the ever so terrifying red shells. The banana doesn't work well when you throw it in front of you, which, yeah, I can agree with you on, but it can work better as a wall, which is something that's never mentioned. Probably just a simple mistake.
So, you guys won't judge me for talking about Minecraft, right? Right? Okay then, in that case, let me explain why the hoe is such a pointless, ineffective, pathetic, lackluster, and overall awful weapon for this game! Seriously? Again? Alright guys, let me state my case now.
Wow. You're an idiot. I didn't know you were gonna go back to 2014, trying to predict where your audience would sync with a popular tactic used for jokes, not knowing this could instead just tick off said audience and make them more justified in disliking your list. But somebody called Blazing Larvesta. Your video isn't that hot so far.
Now, the hoe admittedly has a unique use.
No comment. Wait, I just realized. Should this even be an entry on the list? The hoe, from, well, the information I've gathered at least, is an item that's primarily used for farming purposes, a tool of sorts for you to use. It's not really a weapon either, and as such it can't fall under the criteria for this list, considering it doesn't fall under the definition of what a power-up actually is. I really wouldn't have wanted to drop you when you were a baby. The denseness would have been too much, and the floor would have caved in. Oh, and here's an ambulance to help with your idiocy.
In which it can be used to plant crops to make healing items, but overall, the hoe is by far the weakest of the game's default weapons. Besides serving the least helpful non-combative use in the game, as a weapon, the hoe is absolutely worthless.
Well, golly gee whiz. It's almost like this tool, used for farming purposes, wasn't meant to be used as a weapon, but instead just a means for farming. We all know hoes are great for combat. This makes completely logical sense and isn't a stupid complaint for from Blazing Larvesta's butt. Why must this suffering continue? Now, I honestly have nothing else to say during this session, and I'd just be repeating myself every other point about how the hoe isn't meant to be a weapon. And ironically enough, just like the hoe, Larvesta seems to be a tool.
A key part of the fun factor of the Super Smash Bros. Franchise is the plethora of entertaining and salt-inducing toys at the player's disposal. While plenty of them are hilariously satisfying and loads of fun, the smoke ball on the other hand is anything but. Now what exactly makes this smoking peanut so groan-worthy? Let's start with the fact that the smoke ball unleashes blinding smoke that blocks the vision of everyone playing, including the person who threw the weapon in the first place. This essentially turns the weapon into a double-edged sword. As well, it can be used to hide the player using the weapon or distract an opponent. At the same time, it can be really confusing as to where you go when you don't even know where you are.
I have two issues here. First off, I have to question whether the smoke ball is a power-up or not. It's not something that changes the way you play your character in any manner. In order to give you any special ability like, say, the enemies in Kirby or the flowers in Mario. If anything, this item could just be considered, well, that, an item. Meaning that it shouldn't be really a candidate for this list at all. I also have an issue with the whole double-edged sword complaint, as that could be said for multiple items in the Smash Bros. Series. One such item being, well, no, I'll get back to that later.
Funny thing though, while this trait may cause someone to believe that the weapon is a huge pain to deal with, in actuality, this bouncy ball is completely worthless! Considering the smoke only shows up in a small radius, chances are, unless players are playing in a really cramped stage, they're probably going to be miles away from all the smoke. Not only that, but if another player happens to pick up the smoke ball after it goes off, that pretty much serves as an indication that they're trying desperately to hide from other players, and trying poorly. Seeing as how a moving stream of smoke pretty much serves as an indication that someone is hiding within.
Okay, maybe it's just me, but I really have trouble understanding this point. Does it really matter if they're trying poorly to hide from other players? I honestly question bringing the players up in general, considering it doesn't really have anything to do with how the smoke ball is a poor power-up. It might not accomplish the goal, great, yeah, but it can still manage to throw off the enemy by screwing up the idea of where they are. While making this script, an example came to mind. Corn's forward smash. It has a lot of range, but gets the most knockback if you hit them right with the tip. And using the smoke ball would throw off said radius, thereby making the opponent harder to kill. It's not that great, as yeah, I do agree with you, the limited range is a problem, but you're making this item sound far worse than it actually is. Also, probably best to bring it up now. Considering this is labeled as a worst list instead of a least favorite list, I have to ask why Nintendog isn't on this instead. Now before somebody accuses me of forcing my own opinion on the larvesta, let me explain. Nintendog has some of the same exact issues. One of your central complaints is that it covers a small range and the opponents are easier to see. Still, Nintendog covers a large radius, blocking nearly the entire screen and making it near impossible for you to hit your foes. Not to mention that if you're playing on a moving stage, you're screwed. The only reason I'm bringing this up is because this label is a top worst list, and not a least favorite list. So the fact that something with the same issues to a worse extent, and yet it's never even mentioned just bugs me. Wait, I just found something else! At one part you say that the smoke ball makes it confusing to tell where you are, while at a different point you say it doesn't cover enough range.
Which is it, larvesta?
Moves in the Pokemon franchise have been the main feature of battling as far back as the franchise has been around, and over the years, the quality and variety of moves has grown quite substantially. After thoroughly analyzing these moves to my fullest extent, I can safely conclude that, oh my goodness, Teleport is one of the worst things to plague the franchise to date!
You know, it's amazing. You are 100% wrong. I mean, nothing you've said has been right.
I guess Rage Mode is back? Hey, Blazing Moron, think about what you're doing here. I knew you were dense, but I didn't think you were stupid enough to confuse a Pokemon move for a power-up. I mean, hey, everybody knows the Pokemon moves are things you can pick up everywhere in Pokemon to use. Before you try using the pitiful excuse of HMs and TMs, let me get this through your thick skull. Those can only be used by certain particular Pokemon, not by each one. So if you're thinking of using that as damage control, well sorry, but no luck. I could go on, but continue. I want to see where this frick fest goes.
This massive weapon is an absolute pain no matter who decides to bear this obnoxious tool of the trade. It's annoying when enemies have it, it's pathetic when the player has it, and it's absolutely worthless both in and out of battle. So, where to begin with this dodgy mess of a move? How about we start with how infuriating it is to catch a wild Pokemon with this move? Considering the move is guaranteed to work when wild Pokemon use it starting with Pokemon 2, stacking a Pokemon with Teleport can be really infuriating if you don't have a means of landing a status element like Frozen or Sleep. Imagine, for instance, running into a shiny Abra after several wild encounters, ready to catch it after hunting for so long, and then, poof, it's gone in an instant, and there's nothing you can do about it. Also, if you thought the move was any better in your hands, think again! For starters, the move doesn't even work in trainer battles, greatly stifling a lot of the usefulness that the move could have if it had any to begin with. But even in wild battles, the move pretty much serves as a replacement for simply fleeing from battle, which already isn't that hard to do to begin with.
Hey, Blazing Moron, you know the difference between the two though? With teleports, a guaranteed run away from the battle. Well, when you're in a normal wild Pokemon battle, you have the possibility of being kept in it if the enemy Pokemon's speed is high enough, thereby making your complaint mute. Pokemon is my turf, larvesta, so make me hire my Chaos Mafia!
And even if it was, there exists not just an item, but also an ability that serves the exact same purpose that Teleport does, on top of allowing an extra slot for a much more powerful and useful move!
Okay, bringing a runaway was fair, I guess. But you're freaking moron for bringing up the smoke ball, as unlike Teleport, there's actually a downside. With Teleport, the main thing you have to worry for is your use of power points, which you can easily manage. Meanwhile, you have the smoke ball, which has to be found. Case in point, Sun and Moon. As when I looked up on Bulbapedia, the main or finite way to come across this item is required from a wild to land it, in which is a 5% chance of having one.
Lastly, what about when the user is not battling? Forwards. Escape Rope Light Edition.
Freaking... Hey, larvesta, you idiotic simpleton. You seem to have the brain capacity to notice if you're using an escape rope or have the limited use. I like to move teleport, which just requires you to go to a center to store your PP for free. If you have an escape rope, gone! You have to either buy one using your money, or find one somewhere in a Pokeball.
Now, to be fair, Pokemon 7 did give Teleport a bit more use in the form of Z-Teleport, which fully restores the user's HP, but let's be real, would someone really waste an entire Z-move on Teleport of all moves, considering how otherwise useless the thing is? Wasting an entire move and item slot purely for the equivalent of a slightly better Citrus Berry?
So a slightly better Citrus Berry. So ignoring how a Citrus Berry just moderately restores your HP, while Z-Teleport restores all of it, which can be extremely useful depending on if the Pokemon using said Z-move is actually bulky. Like, do you hear yourself speak, larvesta? Is your head so full of hot air that it suffocates you?
I rest my case, and also this countdown. I'm the Blazing Larvesta, reminding you to never bring a plastic knife to a raid battle.
And this is Jonah Smith saying your video gave me cancer and Ebola at the same time.
Okay, I'd rather not be stuck in rage mode that long again, thank you very much. Okay, ladies, let me be honest here. This video was a complete and utter disaster in every sense of the word. Many times throughout this video, you demonstrate that you have no actual idea what a power-up actually is. Mistaking them for weapons or items that shouldn't qualify for the list. Your presentation is poor, you seem to have learned nothing of what to do with your background as long as your absolutely horrific intro montage. The video just feels terribly lazy as a whole and feels as if no effort was put into it. What upsets me the most though? Well, some of the flaws they pointed out in the background earlier, hey, they were mentioned by Doodle Tones, Libras, and SketchTB. And yet, there seems to be no change, showing that you are incapable of taking criticism. I honestly feel throughout this video, I was watching an old Meta video, only worse, because hey, I can at least see Meta trying to improve its content. I can't say the same for you. So my advice? Get good. Anyway, this is Jonah Smith, and see you next time for...
Oops. I screwed up again, didn't I?